Truth Activist 86 here. I just want to give an update on what has been going on at the closed Walmarts, the 5 Walmarts that I had recently shut down due to the so-called plumbing issues. So I want to give an update, and last week my husband and I, we live in California, and so we live pretty close to the Pico Rivera Wal-Mart, about an hour and a half away. So last week, June the 6th, my husband and I took a ride out to the Pico Rivera Wal-Mart just to kind of see if we could see anything, see if anything suspicious was going on or anything like that. So we took a drive out there. And we pull into the parking lot, and of course, first thing we notice is a big empty parking lot. I noticed there was 3 or 4 tractor trailers sitting in the parking lot. I'm not sure if that's odd or not. They might have just thought that was a good place to chill out since it was a big empty parking lot. So there was 3 or 4 of them sitting there. And behind the tractor trailers, there was a man in a white security truck. And I drove up to the side of the security truck, and it was marked U.S. Security Associates. Now, from what I've read, all of the other Walmarts are using the same exact security company, which I thought was odd, because I know Walmart laid off all of its employees, but if Walmart, for whatever reason, needed 24/7, surveillance, security, whatever, I don't see why they couldn't already use the security that they had, the Walmart security. Because I know at a regular Walmart, for the most part, there is a couple of different Walmart security people driving around the parking lot constantly, of course, just making sure there's nothing going on. So it seemed kind of odd that they brought in another outside security company. And from what I've read when I looked them up, they seem a bit extensive, it's a little bit overboard, I think, for a closed down department store to bring in U.S. Security Associates. So I just noticed him. He wasn't doing much of anything, sitting in his truck. That was about it. He wasn't even driving around or anything. But my husband and I, we pulled back to the side of the Walmart where the loading docks are. And first thing we notice is all of the cart returns have been moved from the parking lot back to the loading docks, in front of the loading docks. And from what I could tell, they had each end of every cart return jammed into each other. So it's like one long walkway type deal, one long metal walkway. And the way they had them put together, and I'm going to post, you should be seeing a picture up here. It would have been better probably if I could have gotten like a sky view. Of course, that wasn't possible. But it kind of reminded me of like a cattle run, or something you would use to get animals into a building, something along those lines. So we saw that, took some pictures, of course, looked around, didn't see much of anything else. We looked in the recycling area where they keep the trash and all the trash cans, and everything's completely empty. There's nothing back there, all been cleared out. So we looked at that and drove back out. And as soon as we left, 30 seconds after we pulled out, we went over to the end of the parking lot to park, to kind of just sit there and observe. And not even 30 seconds later, a local cop pulled back there by the loading docks where we previously were and got out of his car and was walking around and checking things out. And I'm pretty sure nobody reported us back there because, like I said, there was no time in between there for somebody to say, hey, there's somebody back there messing around, somebody come out here. So it seemed to me, and I saw, of course, there's like a camera on the corner of the garden center outside. So what it seemed like to me is somebody sitting there watching security cameras 24/7. And they saw us on the cameras and came back there to see, what we're doing or to get us out of there. That's what it seemed like to me. So the cop drove around the building 2-3 times, and he headed on out and left. So my husband and I, we drove around the store a couple more times, checking things out. And of course, they have the whole front of the store, all the windows, all the doors blocked with black tarp. So you can't see in there at all. And the garden center as well is blocked up with like brown tarp, but part of the tarp was pulled away. So I jumped out of the car real fast, ran over there, and I wanted to get a picture of inside the garden center, but I didn't want the cop to come back. But inside the garden center, there was nothing. No merchandise, no shelves, just shopping carts. They stored all of the shopping carts inside of the garden center. Now, I know that Walmart said they're having plumbing issues. They're supposed to be opening up in, they said it would take 6 months, which from the time period they closed, it would only be a few months now that till they would be opening back up. So it seems a little bit odd and extensive that they would take the shopping cart returns and get rid of them, get rid of all of the merchandise in the garden center, get rid of even the shelving. You know, in the garden center, most of the time they have like big metal racks that they set like the patio sets on and stuff like that on. Like, it was completely empty, just had the carts in there. And of course I get storing the carts. You probably don't want people hoarding the carts or stealing the carts and have to pay money to get new carts when you reopen. So that makes sense, getting them out of the parking lot and storing them somewhere. But moving the shopping cart returns seemed odd to me. Nobody's going to steal a shopping cart return. I feel like they would have been fine leaving those in the parking lot. So I'm not sure why they had to put them in front of the loading docks, as you can see. And they had the ones in front of the loading docks, but as well they had 3 or 4 cart returns, of course, shoved in together in front of a door. So it's like, from what I could tell, it's like a long walkway in the metal shopping cart returns, and then you make a right into a door that leads into Walmart. So I, of course, thought that was odd. I mean, I'm not exactly sure why they would have done that. And from what I've seen on other videos online of the Pico Rivera location, when the pharmacy was still open, somebody had, you know, got inside and they were not able to see the rest of the store because Walmart took a whole bunch of shelves and placed around and made like a barrier so you couldn't see the rest of the Walmart. So that seems kind of odd. Some people say, hey, they did that to keep people out of the store. But then there were fully staffed with multiple police officers to make sure nobody was going in the store unless it was for a prescription. They had people watching them. So it seems kind of odd that they took the time to make this big barrier wall type deal to keep, you know, people from, I don't know, going into the rest of the store or whatever they did that for. So I thought that was odd. I think everything about the closing Walmarts is odd because from, you know, what I've read, none of the Walmarts have gotten plumbing permits. No plumbing has been reported going on at any of these Walmarts. And 6 months seems a little bit much for a plumbing job. I'm not a plumber. I don't know how long it takes, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't take 6 months. And it's Walmart. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't fire all of their employees if they planned on reopening. They probably would have given customers a notice so they don't lose that business or so they don't, you know, piss off customers. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like Walmart's going to be reopening. I'm not psychic. I can't read the future. I'm not sure. I'm giving my opinion, of course, but it doesn't seem like they are going to reopen from what I can see. And from another thing I read online, there was no actual name given to protect the identity of the man. But he apparently is doing work inside the, I believe, the Midland, Texas location, the Walmart in Midland, Texas that is closed down. And from what he said, they're not allowed to, the people that are working there, it's like a 3-week job, I believe he said. They're not allowed to take in anything with them. They're not allowed to take in phones because they're not allowed to record anything. He said they work in little specific areas and they are blocked by walls so they can't see the full project. They can only see the part that they're working on at the time. And from what he was saying, he has seen a few military people here and there inside the store, a couple of UN guys inside the store, people on the roof, military vehicles outside. He said inside it looks as if they're building guard towers in each corner of the store, as well as, he said, it looks like they're building bunk bed type deals. He said it's like, it looks like 4 beds and they're like metal, but without the actual, of course, mattress and stuff on them. But he said from what he can tell, it looks like they're building bunk beds inside of the Walmart. And he said this, I read this last week, so the job's probably over. He said that they were finishing up within the next few days, but he said he's not exactly sure what's going on. Of course, he can't be talking about it because he could get in a lot of trouble. He said He's done a lot of secretive jobs, but what's going on inside that Walmart, he said there's definitely something up. Something is definitely going on. So, like I said, I'm not exactly sure what's going on, if it's tied into Jade Helm or what. I am here in Oceanside, California. I live on a military base an hour outside of the Pico Rivera Wal-Mart. And from what I can tell, most of the closed Walmarts are pretty close to major bases for, you know, like mine, for example. So that's pretty interesting. But I wanted to just give an update on the Walmart. I'll probably be going back in the next month or so just to see if there's any change, anything else going on. I'll probably go later at night, maybe, see if they possibly do anything when there's nobody on the streets. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be heading back in about a month or so. And if I do, I will definitely be getting on here and giving an update. But that is all for now. And of course, thank you for listening. This is Truth Activist 86.